Phil Spencer kind of dropped a little bit of some negative news on us. Not that there is, just always terrible stuff going on, but it is one of those things that seems like is kind of unfortunate, and there's a lot of fans that are kind of disappointed in this announcement. So I thought I would cover it. Again, not jumping on no hate bandwagon. Microsoft has a lot going on, but I wanted to set everybody's expectations, because I think that having unreal expectations or thinking something's happening when it's not is super unfortunate, and we see that happen all the time. Like, I can tell you exactly what I mean by that. So, and this is a PlayStation thing, but it happens on Xbox side too. Basically, what I'm talking about is, you have Microsoft or you have PlayStation fans going, oh, Wolverine's coming out in 2024, despite the fact that there has been no indication of 2024, no date, no year. They haven't showed any footage, and it was just said a month ago that they just now entered full production of the game. So, it's really setting yourself up for failure to kind of go out there and do that. And I saw some Xbox fans doing that with this. A lot of people thought they were going to add, a bunch of Call of Duty games the day after the Activision deal closed, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Xbox head says Activision Blizzard games aren't coming until 2024. Xbox chief and Microsoft gaming CEO Philip Spencer has confirmed that Activision Blizzard games aren't coming to Game Pass anytime soon. In the latest official Xbox podcast, Spencer confirms there's not going to be a big drop of Activision Blizzard games into Game Pass in the coming weeks, and we won't see any until 2024. Which, again, by the way, see any in 2024 sounds like it's like a super far time away or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's really not, because we're in October. You've really got a couple months, and that's it. So when we kind of look at these things, to me anyway, I don't look at that as a far off thing at all. I think, honestly, it's right around the corner, and I think we're going to get some pretty quickly. I feel like the passing of the deal was such a tremendous thing, like a last minute type thing, that they didn't have all their ducks in a row the way that they did with the Bethesda one. There was no fight against the Bethesda one, so the 2-year fight paid off for Activision Blizzard. But again, we might have to wait a little bit longer before we get the situation handled with the games actually coming to Game Pass. So here's what Phil had to say, and I quote: "The regulatory process took so long that we weren't able to get in and work with Activision Blizzard on that back catalog work. Now that the deal is closed, we're starting that work, but there is work. I think that Activision Twitter handle did put out something that talked about 2024, and I think that is accurate. I would love it if there was some kind of secret celebration drop that's coming in the next couple of weeks, but there's not." Activision Blizzard posted on Twitter, or X, or whatever you want to call it, ahead of the deal closing, that Modern Warfare 3 and Diablo 4 both would not be coming to Game Pass this year, but it wasn't clear about the status of older Activision titles until Phil Spencer's clarification, and he said, and I quote, "I know there will be some disappointment about that. The acquisition is definitely long-term, so the fact that we're not hitting day one with a bunch of games dropping into Game Pass is a little bit of a downer, but I'm very excited about the future, and I just want to be straight up with people about where we are. Obviously, many Xbox fans had expected Microsoft to drop older versions of Call of Duty into Game Pass almost immediately. Even Windows Central reported that it was expected to see a ton of new games hit Game Pass the very minute the deal is finalized, but it never materialized. Some of the expectations for Game Pass editions was based on the way Microsoft dropped 20 Bethesda games into Game Pass just 2 days after its acquisition closed. Microsoft also went out of its way to fix classic Call of Duty servers on the 360 way back in July, ahead of the original Activision Blizzard deal deadline. Players had been complaining for years about not being able to do matchmaking in games like Call of Duty Black Ops and the original Modern Warfare 2, and this suddenly got fixed by Microsoft over the summer. There's clearly integration work ahead for Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass, and some of the regulatory uncertainty around the deal likely forced Microsoft to hold off on getting games ready. Xbox fans will now be hoping that Microsoft is taking its time, readying one last surprise backwards compatibility drop to bring some older classic Activision games to modern hardware. I actually hope Microsoft really go all out and start doing the backwards compatibility things again. I know it's difficult and maybe a little bit costly, but man, it's such a good thing to do. And with them closing the 360 store next year, I would just absolutely love to see, even more of those games be backwards compatible, because obviously we're at that point where you're trying to save these games and you're trying to make sure that these games all kind of have a history, and I think that that's what people want to see. People want to see these games be available, and I was talking about that the other day with some people. I was like, they asked me, they're like, well, we noticed that you have a 360, and why do you play 360? Why do you, and I was pretty upfront about it. I was like, listen, there's games on that 360 that, quite frankly, you can't buy them. You can't get them anywhere else. Like, I don't play PC. I'm sure you could maybe get ROMs or, whatever, some poorly running ROMs or whatever. But to be quite frank about it, and I use this example, that X-Men arcade game, like, you guys know what I'm talking about, and that Simpsons arcade game, those games are only available on Xbox 360 arcade. Right? And you can't even buy them anymore. You can't buy them. You have to go out there, you can't go out there and just buy them and go, okay, well, look, I bought this game. It's you can't do that anymore. So, I have the game because I have it downloaded and I have it on a couple different hard drives that I have. But, it's one of those things where, for me anyway, I love game preservation. I think that it is something that, not enough people are worried about. And with so many rumors of physical media going away and things like that, I think that we need to save the physical media, right? Like, I'll be honest, I buy more digital games now than physical, but I also buy physical, and I buy the physical option for the most part when it comes to my consoles. So I want to see, the consoles do well, and I want to see physical stick around, and Ubisoft kind of was very upfront about this and saying how, physical would continue to stick around and be a thing, even if it dwindles more with how you use it. I just don't see how, if you're Xbox or whoever, you're selling people these consoles, right? You're talking about backwards compatibility and the ability to have forward compatibility, how you would drop that on the next generation, right? You go, okay, well, you bought all physical the last 3 gens, but screw you, you can't have backwards compatibility. We're not going to put a disk drive in there, right? I think that would be pretty nonsense. So anyway, I would love to hear what you guys think about this subject. Let me know down below. Are you disappointed that we aren't getting Activision titles this year, or are you able to wait a few months and get them next year? Sound off. I'm Crap Gamer. This has been Crap Gamer Reviews. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.